everybody, my name's Helen, and today I'm here with my October wrap-up. I actually ended up doing a lot more reading this month than I thought I did. I ended up reading 12 books. I had a pretty good reading month. I actually did. I'm quite happy with it. The first book that I read this month I pulled out of my TBR jar kind of halfway through last month, and that was Tandem by Anna Jarzib. And this follows a 16-year-old girl named Sasha, and she is kidnapped and brought to this alternate universe where her parallel self is a princess who has been captured, so she has to pretend to be the princess for a while, and then the promise is if she does this for a certain number of days, then she will be brought back to her world. I ended up really enjoying this. I had so much fun while reading this. It's super easy to read. A lot of the chapters are pretty short. It was really entertaining. I enjoyed Sasha as a main character. I liked her love interest in this, although I didn't 100% ship them, but that's okay. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, and I have 2 copies, so I'm holding them both up. I read this for 2 reasons. 1, because of the movie, and I wanted to watch it, and 2, because of Raylene from Padfoot and Prom 07, who just absolutely raves about this series? This book. Wow, I'm out of it. Okay. This book follows a boy named Greg and his friend Earl, and they befriend this girl named Rachel who is dying from leukemia. And it was really funny, although quite crude, so I didn't actually laugh out loud a lot while reading this, but I still found myself smiling at some of the things he would say. It's a book that I can definitely say probably wouldn't be for everybody just because of the main character's sense of humor, but I definitely enjoyed it, and again, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was my book club's book pick of the month, and that was The Accident Season by Maura Fowley Doyle. This follows a girl named Kara, and her entire family has this curse on them, and during the month of October they're super accident prone, and it can be everything from scraping their knees to breaking their skulls open to getting hit by cars and to dying. This was a pretty interesting book. I enjoyed some of it quite a bit. It was really easy to read again, really entertaining. I was not a fan of the romance in this, not just because of what tends to make people uncomfortable about the romance in this, but I just didn't really 100% believe it. And it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It's actually not a scary book, at all. So I was a little bit upset that it wasn't as scary as I was hoping for. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. And then, I read Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Probably my favorite book I've read this year. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's so good. This follows Simon Snow, who is the chosen one, but in the words of his mortal enemy, he's the worst chosen one to ever be chosen. And it's just his adventures at his magical school, dealing with a bunch of things. This book is filled with amazing friendship, a fantastic romance as per Rainbow Rowell usually. Just generally speaking, really good. I do have a full review of this up, so I will link it over here, and you can go and check that out if you would like. The first part of it is spoiler free, and then it goes into a spoilery discussion. 5 out of 5 stars. So good. And the next book that I read was the first book that was really in the Halloween season, even though the Accident Season kind of fit in that. But it was The Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake, and this is the second and final book in the Anna duology. I can't really go into a lot of detail about it because it is a sequel. I did enjoy it, although not as much as the first book. The first book is one of my favorite books of 2013, and this didn't quite measure up to it. There wasn't enough Anna in it for my taste, but it was still really good. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. And then we get into my graphic novel section of the month. So the first graphic novel that I read was Saga Volume 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and I really enjoyed this volume. I like where the story progressed. I liked that we got to see more of the family dynamic. We got to learn more about everybody and a lot of the worlds that are out there. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. Immediately after finishing Volume 2 of Saga, I picked up Volume 3, and this so far is my favorite volume of this series. It is so good. I need Volume 4 and 5. I'm hoping that my library has this. 100% my favorite. Shit just goes down in this, and it was so good. So good. I ship the main couple, and I ship a side couple, and I ship another side couple. I'm just really happy with where this series is going. I gave this volume 5 out of 5 stars. After reading Saga, I picked up Low, Volume 1, The Delirium of Hope, and this is by Rick Remender and Greg Tocchini. I'm probably totally butchering his last name. I went into this with fairly low expectations because I know that Jesse from Over to Jesse the Reader really wasn't a huge fan of this, and so far I've agreed with him on a lot of the graphic novels that I've read that he happens to have also read. But this one I wholeheartedly disagreed with him on. I absolutely loved it. I am in love with the art in this book. I'm in love with the story. I love the main character. Although my favorite character, I'm not happy about that. This was amazing. I just really, really liked it. Humans all kind of live underwater in these colonies, and the main colony that all of the main characters are from is starting to run out of oxygen. It's getting really polluted. They discover that a probe has come back, and the only reason they would come back is if they had made it to land. So the main character, Stell, and her son go off to try and find the probe, but they have to make a stop on the way. There's mystery and mayhem and so much action and just absolutely stunning artwork. The art on this cover is legitimately what the art looks like in this. So even though I can see why it wouldn't be for everyone, I understand why Jesse wasn't a fan of it, but for me it was just absolutely amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. And the next graphic novel that I read was In Real Life by Cory Doctorow and Jen Wang, and this follows a girl who plays this MMORPG. She's part of like this forum of ladies who are absolutely kick butt and awesome, and they're trying to stop gold farmers, but she kind of learns that gold farming may not be everything she thinks it is. This was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. I read this in like an hour, and it's one of the thickest graphic novels I've ever read. There's very, very little text, but the art is just like super cute. Like super cute. I absolutely adored this. I ended up giving it, I think, 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then my library had a couple of graphic novels that just sounded really, really cool, so I grabbed the 2 of them. And they were Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Anthony Hope's The Prisoner of Zenda. And these are just graphic novel versions of these books. So that was a really interesting medium to kind of read them in. I knew most of the story of Frankenstein, but I haven't actually read the book, and I knew absolutely nothing about The Prisoner of Zenda. But I ended up really enjoying both of these. I was not a huge fan of the art, but I really liked the stories, although this one was like super wordy and it was kind of hard to get through actually, and this one had a really interesting story, but it was kind of slow-paced. I ended up giving both of these 3 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I actually managed to finish in October, and I finished this at like 11 o'clock p.m. on the 31st, was What's Left of Me by Kat Zhang. And this is a story where every person on the planet is born with 2 souls, but normally one of them kind of just recedes. It stops being by the time kids are like 5 or 6, but our main characters, Addie and Ava, are 2 souls who are still in the same body. Ava is definitely recessive. All she can really do is talk to Addie with their mind, but she can't control their body at all. They meet 2 other hybrids, and they try to help Ava kind of become less recessive, not to take over and like make Addie the recessive soul, but just so that they can both equally share the body. And then some shit goes down. This was an okay book. The first half of it I was kind of like about, and then the second half of it was where things started to get interesting, but it was still kind of slow. I don't know if I'll be continuing on with this series, although I do kind of want to know what happens next, but I might rent them from my library. And I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. So those are all of the books that I read this month. What did you guys read? You should let me know down below. And have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video? If so, let me know what you thought of them down below. I do respond to every comment on my videos, and I absolutely love hearing from you. And I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!